So what is going on, guys? This is Ryan here, and welcome to a different type of video, and also something I've kind of wanted to do for the longest time. Over the past few weeks, and I guess months, I've been seeing a fair few people want me to do a setup tour to show you guys exactly what I record with, and I figured, let's go ahead and do this! I feel like the stuff I use has gotten to the kind of point where I'm fairly satisfied with the production of things and the way I do it. I figured I'd separate this video into two parts. The first part is going to be me actually showing my setup as a whole. For the second part of the video, I may show you guys the sort of software I use, I guess, to do the recordings, and I may open up a project or two to show you guys the work that goes into each video. For those of you who are interested, maybe you'll learn something. I mean, maybe you can even tell me something that I should do with my setup, because I'm all ears, honestly. Another thing as well, I did previously record this video, but I wasn't really happy with the way I did it because it was a bit too quirky and I wasn't really focusing on the setup as a whole. I mean, it's not all about jokes when it comes to setup videos and trying to do like a tutorial, else how the freak you gonna learn or even listen to what I'm saying? One more thing as well before we continue, thank you guys for 1.4 million subscribers. The number keeps growing, and like, I never thought we'd even get to this point. 1.4 million people is a heck ton and way more than I ever imagined. So honestly, just thank you for that. And with that said, honestly, I really don't have much more to say other than just getting on with the setup tour. So, I mean, roll some of that music. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, setup tour commence. Okay then, guys, well, I guess here we go. Now, this does feel a little bit weird to me just because I'm not used to holding the camera as opposed to like having you sat on your freaking pedestal. There's no red thing here. That's basically a tripod behind and you guys sit on there, but we'll talk more about that soon. Second of all, if my camera work is bad, it's probably because this camera weighs about 3 kilos and my hand is already aching. I mean, you can probably see the camera dropping. Yeah, my arm can't do this. Camera. Okay, let's just get this done. So I think I'll start the tour at the very back here. This right here is a heck ton of soundproofing foam, and I want to get like a common misconception about this out of the way before we get any further. Most people, when they put this up with the impression that they're going to be able to sound dampen their room. All this does basically, guys, is it catches what's called a reflection. If you're in like an echoey room, you know, like in a hallway where you're like, it's gonna do its best job to stop that, and it's not like a perfect job, but it does an amazing job, especially when you're trying to use like a microphone which is picking up on the echo and stuff. It removes it. Pretty much this is the back wall here. I have the whole thing covered. I've done a small job, as you can see, like along the top here. That's basically because sometimes sound can bounce. Corners are like a massive affected spot, especially these things right here. I'm trying to point on camera and I'm like off screen. I don't know what I'm doing. On the wall just to the side of my workstation, I've got my 100K right here, and I finally managed to mount my 1 million subscriber plaque, and I just love this thing. I can be working basically facing this way right here, and I just take a glance to my side and I feel all fuzzy inside. Hopefully this clip of me staring at them. I mean, they're freaking beautiful, aren't they? Just behind my computer as well, I've also got soundproofing, because if I'm shouting, like, it's hitting this wall first, and I guess it kind of hits you guys as well once you're on the mount. So the next thing I want to move over to then is my computer, because this is honestly one of my favorite parts, and I want to give a quick disclaimer to Ironside Computers. I recently reached out to Ironside Computers. I spoke with these guys and they just said, tell us what your dream computer is and we will fix it up for you, and they did just that. And boy oh boy, this computer is amazing. I mean, like, even if I wasn't sponsored, I would probably be shouting them out because their builds are just beautiful. You guys will see real soon. They shipped the computer out to me. I think it was about 2 weeks that it took to arrive here. Once I got the thing, it's absolutely amazing, and I just love the thing. Okay, let me just show you this. Here we go then, guys. This is just beautiful. This thing right here is my freaking baby right now. Ironside also installed like a lighting system that goes all the way around it, as you can see. And I mean, can you see that RAM glow right there though? Like, you see that zoom in action? I'm gonna run through the specs of this thing though. So let's start with the case. It is a Phanteks Evolve. I think it's called Anthracite Gray. Probably got that completely wrong. So I got like a Corsair water cooler which runs all the way around here, and that is cooling a CPU which is an i7-8700K, and that thing is amazing. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and sit down right here. The CPU cooler is a Corsair H100 as well. And the motherboard within this is an MSI Z370. If I get any of this wrong, by the way, guys, it's all on my About Me page on YouTube. But you can see the motherboard sitting back there, you know, looking all beautiful. Now let me talk about my RAM. I mean, look, guys, I don't like to boast, but 64 gig of RAM. I believe the RAM to be DDR4. I think it's Trident, and it's like the RGB thing, as you can quite clearly see. They also gave me what is called an M2 storage. Now, I believe this plugs directly into the motherboard, so it's like a little bit quicker than an SSD, and I put like my operating system and stuff on this thing. It's a 500 gigabyte Samsung model, I believe, as well. Secondly, as well, they gave me two 1 terabyte SSDs. Like, are you kidding? This is the Corsair RM850. That's the power supply, and you can see the graphic card just there. That is the 1080 Ti as well. The build itself is just beautiful. Like, you can see the wire management here as well, just to make the case and everything inside look so flush. And I mean, they pretty much succeeded right there. Now, this is where the fun begins. This is such a simple little thing, but you see, I can change the color of my case to literally whatever I want. There's so many different options of which I don't even have a clue how to use this thing properly, but oh, hold up a sec. I'm putting that down. This looks pretty sick. Okay, I don't know. I'm pressing buttons. Look how nice this looks, though. It's just such a simplistic feature, and I kind of wish I had like the space on my desk to put this on there. Just the way these things look, though, there is so much you can customize with them. Like all the lighting inside, it goes beyond having a good computer right now. This also looks like a good computer, you know? As for this, I mean, let's not talk about that. Now it's time for the fun stuff, guys. We're going to be talking about pretty much everything you can see on this desk, and I really hope this is in focus right now. This setup, bearing in mind, guys, has been literally a work in progress for about 3 years, and I'm finally at the point where I'm pretty confident and liking this build. If you also notice any dust on the table, like, don't think that I don't clean my setup. It's actually part of the cosmetic by this point. When designing this, part of my thought process was that dust is going to collect inevitably, so why not just go with it? So I went ahead and purchased more dust, and basically I just sprinkle it all over the place so that no one can tell the difference. Let's start with the light anyway, get the boring stuff out of the way, and I mean, this is what I'm talking about. I do clean my setup, by the way, guys, literally twice a week. I mean, the dust is just inevitable. It's gonna freaking collect on everything around here. It peeves me off. This light here is, I think it's called a box light, and they call these barn doors. Basically, what you can do is you can rotate these to, I guess, filter where the light's gonna be hitting. It's a really nice feature, honestly. You can like bend this in any way. If I want, for example, my back wall to be a little bit darker, I'll just bend this barn door in, and then the light kind of focuses on me, and I guess more my setup. So, I mean, it's pretty damn cool. This back here as well is known as a ring light. Both of these you can get on Amazon. LED as well. They do produce drastically less heat than like a bulb-based light, which I used for the longest time, and it basically made my room a freaking sauna. I mean, I guess it doesn't completely control the heat. You gotta think like, I got a computer in here, I got monitors, I got all this other freaking tech. In my next video, I'll crack an egg on my desk, and you'll see it fully formed by the end of it, okay? A lovely fried egg. Okay, so I got a PlayStation 4 sitting underneath a speaker right there. The brand of the speakers, I'm not even 100% sure. I just got something that made sound, and I mean, as you can tell, it's still on my desk, so it clearly works. Next to that as well, I have an Astro mix amp. Now, this is going to go over to my headphones because so many people talk about what these are. These are my Astro A40s. I think I got these about 4 years ago, and I mean, they're not broke, so what's the point in trying to fix it? If you guys can't already tell, I'm not one of these people who kind of hops between the newest tech all the time. This actually goes nicely back to the camera I use. The camera I'm basically using, and I've used basically from the start as well, is the Canon 600D. I don't even think they make these anymore, but my one's about 6.5 years old. The lens I have on this thing is called an ultrasonic, I think 17 to 55 millimeters, so it's got like a nice wide lens, or you can get nice and close if you need to zoom in enough. This monitor right here is the Acer Predator, and it's honestly one of my favorite purchases I've made for the longest time. It was actually the monitor that got me into the 144 hertz gaming side of things. This one over here is an LG 4K. I'm not even sure exactly what it is. I think it's 27 inches. That's kind of like for my editing. As you can see, I've got OBS open right there, and some software called Adobe Audition to capture my audio. Honestly though, a 144 hertz monitor is literally night and day between the 60. I think honestly, if given the choice between like a 4K monitor or a 2K with 144 hertz, you gotta go freaking 144 hertz, man. It's a given. The mouse I'm using right here, this is called a Razer Naga. As you guys can see, it's got 12 programmable buttons on the side here. You can click the mouse wheel left and right. It's got like 2 buttons there. It's pretty much amazing. Got like a Razer mouse mat. I mean, look, Razer mouse mat. My keyboard right here, I think is called a Razer, well, it's a Razer, really. It's a mechanical keyboard. It's, I think, the older edition of whatever edition it is. You press keys on it and little words pop up on the screen, so it's pretty damn good. Now, a lot of people wonder how I record my microphones, and this thing right here is an audio interface, or you might want to call it a mix amp, a preamp. This is how you can use XLR microphones with a computer. This thing, I think, converts the signal of an XLR into something that you can use with a USB interface. This is the Tascam UH7000. I did use one before, but I think it was a Focusrite. It ended up breaking on me. Never have I had any problems with this thing. You got like input volumes. If I turn this up, you can see my microphone is peaking right here. Yeah, I better not do that. Okay, now my freaking microphone, aka my baby. So the microphone that I use now is the Sennheiser MKH416 shotgun mic. This thing was like a recent upgrade. I say recent, about 2 months ago, I suppose. This thing, I guess you could say, fires out like a cone of sound in terms of what it's going to capture. Line this up with my voice and we're good to go. Bear in mind, guys, this was a very, very expensive upgrade, and honestly, one I didn't see coming. coming. Honestly though, I kind of got to a point where I knew YouTube was going pretty good. All I want to do is give you guys like the best production quality I possibly can just from like a bedroom. I guess this was my microphone of choice. How's it freaking go? Okay, that was pretty stupid. That is pretty much my entire setup though. I mean, I don't really know what else to say. That's all the equipment I use. It's got me pretty much to where I am and it's still working, so no need to swap it up. I think it's time now that we swap over to check out the computer because I want to show you guys at least one of my projects and talk about some of the effects that I use throughout. What I'm in at the moment is Adobe Premiere Pro. You can see this is currently loading episode 5 of Dying Light and I think I've uploaded this one already. I'm not sure. If I start to zoom out though, you can kind of see the amount of cutting that I do for these things. Let me just focus in on this. Oh my goodness, like this is ridiculous to look back at. Sometimes I think like, man, I gotta learn to chill just a little bit. All these little clips down here are different audio layers, maybe even a small sound effect that I choose to use. You can see as well, if I select this clip, for example, and look up here, this is like a keyframing window. And I do apologize, guys, if I'm a little bit out of focus. So alongside all of the crazy cutting I do, you can also find little keyframes within some of the footage where I might do a facial zoom because that's exactly what this is here. It takes a really, really long time to do this. I mean, let me just scrub back to the start and then slowly expand out. You can kind of see the level of chaos that I get to when I'm editing this. I do this for every single video that I do, guys. I'm still going right here. If we hop over now to the next screen, because I basically use this first monitor here as like an editing one, then I have like a playback window, and these are all the sound effect libraries that I use for every single video, man. I made like a custom layout. Hang on, let me close this down a sec. Before I even begin work, I open up a Premiere Pro base file. That's what I call it. It's kind of like a starting thing. Then what I'll do is say I've done like a Layers of Fear episode. I'll Control S, save it as Layers of Fear Part 1. And this layer alone has all of my sound effects already loaded in. So once I boot this thing up, I'm pretty much good to go. And it's just a case of importing, I guess, new sound effects that I may use. It does speed up the process a lot though. And like seriously, guys, I have spent a very, very long time learning all this stuff. It's been like a 2 to 2.5 year process, maybe even longer. I'm still not there. I'm literally just creating these methods as I'm going. So my method might not even work for you and you might have something completely better. I think though on the front, that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about in terms of my setup. So I think I'll sit you guys back on the pedestal. Give me a sec. Well, there we have it anyway, guys. That is pretty much my complete setup. I figured I'd do this video for those who are interested, and it's pretty cool to speak about the tech that I've built up over the years because it's been a very, very gradual process and one of which I'm still working at. When I first began, I used to record on a very, very small and cramped desk. My computer used to overheat frequently, and I guess my microphone and everything else was not up to par. The thing you've got to remember, guys, is that is all important to the development process of your skill set. You shouldn't expect to start out with the absolute best equipment because, I mean, the equipment doesn't make the person. I even think like a nice basic setup to begin with can be a good thing. Then as you grow, you kind of start to build on your desk, get more like little toys and gadgets on there, but you learn to utilize them to the best of your ability. And by not just having like the most perfect setup in the world instantly, it gives you time to kind of really set sail and get into the groove of all this stuff. If you guys are also thinking like you can't afford the equipment that I use, that's completely fine. I started out with such a small amount and I just kind of figured ways to get it to work because there's always a way. Just to specify as well, on my computer I used Adobe Premiere Pro and I pretty much use the Adobe suite when it comes to making videos. So we got Premiere Pro for like the editing side of stuff, Adobe After Effects for all of the quirky effects like the facial distortions. By the way, if you guys have After Effects, search up the Liquify tool within. That is pretty much all I use. I didn't want to get too technical with this video because it can become fairly intimidating. I learned all that on my own, even though there's tutorials out there. Sometimes it's best to learn your own methods because then you get a nice flow to it. I use Adobe Photoshop for all my thumbnails, OBS for actually recording the screen, and as you can tell, like the face cam file, which is here, and OBS, they're two separate things, which is why I can zoom independently. Okay then, that is going to be my complete setup. I hope you guys did enjoy this different video as well. It was kind of relaxing to do something like this, so yeah, I think that's all I gotta say. If you guys did enjoy this video, why not drop me that like rate, and hey, if you're new around here, why not subscribe for more videos just like this one right here. So thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I of course hope you did enjoy, and I will of course see you on the next one.